In this task, the idea is that we should look at functions and how to send arguments to functions. But before we go into that, I just want to mention that I have read the task and I have devised my plan for how to solve it. We can see it here on the right. And just as with the first task, I am trying to transition into showing the flow of the program more than showing exactly each step in my flowcharts. So now that we know a little bit more about programming, just showing the flow of the program is beneficial, because then we can see that, all right, this is the steps that we need to take on a more abstract level without showing the details. So what do we need to do in this task? We need to create this function called greet that was mentioned in the task. What it should do is that it should take a parameter and then it should display a welcoming message using that parameter. And we can see here that I haven't added the parameters. Sometimes you do what I've done here and leave them out completely. Sometimes you add them underneath, and sometimes you even see them added here in the parentheses. But there is different ways of showing it. One of the more common one is to not show the parameters. That is also in line with not showing too much details in the flowcharts. But this is the function that we need to create. But then of course we need to use the function too. And we have this bit here on the left where when the script starts, it reads the user's name, then it calls the function that we were just talking about here, sends the argument that is the name here. So let's try to implement this. I'll start by creating a new script. And I want to start by creating this function here. So let's try to do that by defining greet. We said that it should take one parameter, and then if we look at a flowchart, we should display a welcome message. So I will do print hello, and I will add name in here, maybe even an exclamation mark. So we have our function ready. Now let's read the user's name and call the function. So we read the name, that's the first part, and then we call the function here on the second line. So let's try to run it. My name is Andreas. And we can see, all right. You can see, all right, what are we doing? We are reading my name, store that in the variable name. Then we are calling our function with the argument, which is the name that we just read. What happens here is that we jump up to our function. The parameter is what we sent in here, name, and then we print hello, Andreas in this case. Something to note here is that even if the parameter here is called name and my variable here is called name, they are not the same. Name here, the parameter, is only valid inside this function, and name here is valid outside of the function. So we can change this to n, for example, and we will see that it will work the same way. So if I run it again, and maybe now my name is Anna, and then we see that, all right, it works even if they don't have the same name. Or maybe we should say that it works despite that they have the same name, because we can use the variable name here to indicate that that is what we are reading, but we can also use it as the parameter name up here for the function. We should always try to use descriptive names that tell us as a reader of the code what will be stored in them. And in this case, it is the name in both cases here. So from this task, what we should take with us for the future is how to use parameters in our functions.